And Dr. John with the podcast flow, telling it right, letting it all out, One brings the knowledge, the other keeps it straight. The change in the game, setting brand new rates. Spitting facts, dropping knowledge bombs on the mic, while Dr. John keeps it straight.
Well, I'm Little Ed.
I'm Dr. John.
And we have a special guest today.
Yeah, we do. We got a special guest, Mrs. Kim2.
That's right. Yeah.
She's running lieutenant governor with Casey Pooch.
And we're going to have a little interview with her and let her tell you what they're all about.
Come on, Kim.
Okay. Hi. Am I supposed to be looking at the camera?
You can, right? This one right here.
Okay. All right. So I'm Kim Georgeton, and I grew up in Southern Ohio. I graduated from Oak Hills High School. I went to University of Cincinnati for college, and then pretty much lived most of my life in the Cincinnati area with just a couple of stints in Columbus and Hudson area, and one time in Seattle. Which took me actually to Munich, Germany to work for a little bit. But anyway, my career has been about 30 years in software consulting and technology e-commerce. I'm the youngest of 7. My father was a World War II Marine veteran, so I always like to say that's where I get my fighting spirit from. And
You got it honestly.
yeah, and then also being tortured by my older siblings growing up, so that definitely gives you some survival skills, especially needed for Columbus. So yeah, and I was really not involved in politics very much in my earlier career. I'm married with my husband. We have a 20-year-old daughter. She goes to college at Southern Methodist University, and while I was busy raising her and working full time, my husband also was a restaurant owner the majority of his life. So anyone who owns a restaurant knows how hard that can be. And so basically we were just kind of thinking that our government was doing the job that they were hired to do and that they were supposed to be doing. And little did I know, when COVID came around and they wanted to force my daughter into wearing a mask and shut my husband's restaurant down, and my company started inquiring about my vaccination status, it urged me into trying to uncover like why this was happening. And so I quickly found out who my state representative was. I found out that I lived in kind of an area that was a little bit more liberal, and it was a Democrat who was my state representative. And I immediately figured out, how did she get elected? I called our local Republican Party. I talked to Alex Trantafilu, who at the time was running our Hamilton County Republican Party, and I said, gosh, what's going on here? Because these rules are being enforced. And I had reached out to her and asked her if she could help me with my daughter's problem wearing a mask in school. And she quickly responded back to me, and it was something of the nature like, well, if your daughter was sitting next to my daughter in class, I would want to make sure she had a mask on, and I need to know whether she's vaccinated or not. And so I immediately was like, that's a violation of my privacy and my daughter's privacy, and it's not any kind of information that you should have. So that's really what spurred me on to get involved, and I ran in the race in District 28 against her back in 2022. And it was pretty interesting because I found out pretty quickly how the Republican Party was very much against any outsiders coming and joining in the race. They had selected a candidate that they wanted to go into that race, and they were very they put every barrier they could in front of me to win that race in the primary. And it was just an eye-opening experience as to what has gone on in our local politics. Thinking that we have a constitutional republic where we are able to exercise our civic duty, and then coming to find out that, well, you really can't.
Right.
So at least not unless you're kissing the ring. You got to kiss the ring first.
I don't want to interrupt you,
Yes.
but you're referring to the Republican Party. It's the same Republican Party and the people we've had on there for 20 years.
Yes. Yes.
And they don't want anybody new.
They don't. Not at all.
And
no.
You guys being new.
Yeah.
Because they're pushing Ramaswamy down our throats.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to money and power, and but at the end of the day, when you look at all of the things behind Ramaswampy or whatever, Ramascammy, people have so many different nicknames for him.
I agree.
There's quite a few.
But when you look at who's funding him, you can see that there is, you know, a multi-billionaire person who's funding him named Jeff Yass, gave him $20 million. Oh, that's my phone.
Okay.
Should I just ignore it?
You
Okay.
can answer if you need to.
I'm just, it's the emergency call. That's my daughter calling.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I know it's not an emergency. I'm just gonna turn it off because she.
You don't know that.
This
for
is this
sure.
is laid
know
back.
it's
This is
not. No, I
this is
know.
laid back show. We don't mind.
Can you cut that out? Yeah.
We can do anything. Most of the time we do a podcast, we got a couple of beers. We're sitting there, we're jawing
That's
about
awesome.
everything and carrying
Yeah.
on about everybody. So
No, that's just, I know that phone ring because it's only her ring, and I have it on Do Not Disturb, otherwise it wouldn't, no, we're not
That's
gonna get any
no-
other calls.
Well,
But,
we have some things we want to touch on.
Yeah,
Questions to ask you, basically. And John, you want to go ahead and ask her the first
I
one?
already asked her about the one thing, but we were talking about the
yeah, we were
financing.
going into like, sort of connecting those dots together, right?
Right.
So, this multi-billionaire person who gave him $20 million, owns technology companies and will win when data centers are deployed in the state of
We're
Ohio.
gonna talk about that.
Yeah. And he also owns a venture capital company that comes in and buys up distressed commercial and
Mhm,
residential
we've seen
properties.
that also.
So yeah, so when, you know, when data centers come in and housing values go down around those, of course, he wins there too.
Right.
And then when property taxes aren't legitimately abolished and people start getting kicked out of their homes, Ohio's starting to be one of these states where people can't afford to stay in their home. And again, this investor wins in Ohio and winning at the expense of Ohioans. So,
What's the guy gonna do with, say the data center moves in and then the property values deplete, and he runs in a buy, what is he gonna do with them? I mean, we're gonna make low income housing
There's
for
still
poor
gonna be
people, or
low-income
they have no choice?
properties.
I mean, if anyone has ever followed the World Economic Forum and has seen any of the data on
Yeah.
Agenda 2030, there is you know, sort of an evil mastermind, Klaus Schwab, who is commonly cited for saying you will own nothing and like it.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody likes to be called a conspiracy theorist, but it sure seems like it's moving in that direction, that they do not want us to own anything and they want us to like it.
So you touched
And-
on the property
yeah.
taxes there for a second.
Yeah.
I got a question regarding property taxes. They want to abolish property taxes. Well, this very firehouse we're sitting in was funded by property taxes.
Yeah.
So my question is, I've heard you mention it before, that you had like a team that you guys were looking into how
Yeah.
you were going to fund
Yeah.
things outside of property taxes.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we have about a 15-page document. You know, we can't publish it because we need to work with the state legislature. There are a lot of moving parts. There will be a lot of chaos, to be quite honest, when it does pass.
Right.
We know that. But we want to make sure that we protect fire, police, and EMS first. Like that's the first order of business. And we're splitting that apart from the schools,
Right.
right? Because schools since the 90s are not even supposed to be coming from property taxes. That was, you know, a judgment made by the Supreme Court back in the 90s. So it's actually illegal for us to be taking property taxes and funding schools with them at this present moment. So it's $21 billion that the state collects on, you know, both orders of business. You split that apart, it's about $11 billion for fire, police, EMS. So we're looking at first identifying all the fraud, waste, and abuse that's happening
And
across the board.
There's a ton of that.
Right.
We think, I mean, just gut checking, we think there's at least a couple, maybe 5 billion worth of that potentially. Like if you compare it to what's going on in Minnesota, and you kind of extrapolate that a little bit into Ohio.
Well, I hate to say this, but when you're talking about the fraud, it's not just finance, because here comes my tinfoil hat.
Yeah,
But there's too many politicians down there that are getting kickbacks off of this fraud and
Absolutely.
making way too much money put in their pockets.
Right.
Why it's not stopping?
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, how are we going to deal with that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny to see some of the haters come out on social media and then tracking back who they are. And they're always like the long-term politicians who
Yeah.
are opening up their mouths and saying something against it. So my point of view is, you know, because I have a background in consulting, we're going to treat this like a project. We're going to take an inventory of what we have.
Mhm.
We're going to create the future state of what we want it to be, and then we're going to fill that gap. And so, you know, it's a mathematical equation. It's a strategic equation. It's going to involve, we're going to have to set up a committee. We're going to have members from every county that will be part of the committee. trustworthy members of the county. So we'll have to identify that,
Yeah.
and then cutting through the waste, fraud, and abuse first is the first order of business.
I don't think people would have a problem with a property tax if they made them affordable and,
Yeah.
and they didn't,
Yeah.
But they went crazy
Yeah.
and they're raising.
Yeah.
We need more money. We need more money. We need more money. And, if it was small, everybody would be like, okay, I'll pitch in.
Yeah, right. So how a lot of other states do it is, they actually have identified different taxes for each of the specific services in the community. And right now ours is like all one. So in the future, it'll probably be something more like a fire fee, police fee, an EMS fee. Like, so you'll see separate fees potentially on your bill, but it won't be related to your property value. That's the thing. I think that's where people have a very bad taste in their mouth, where property taxes have just been used and abused,
Right.
where they're coming up with these valuations, and the valuations are getting inflated because we have venture capital companies coming in and buying up properties, which is elevating the pricing. And it seems like they're just on a whim deciding what the new value of your house is. And it's like a pre-invested value of what your house is. It's like a future expectation of what you're going to sell it for in the future. But if you've lived in your home for 30 years, you paid $100,000 for your house, and now they're saying it's worth 500, and they're taxing you on the 500, not the 100.
I believe we should start abolishing property taxes for elderly people and retired people to start.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason why somebody that's worked all their life to pay for this property still should be paying for the
Definitely. Yeah, that's a primary concern. Right. Obviously, the elderly, and then of course the younger people who are also having difficulties buying a home. I mean, I know Casey is an example. He just bought his first home. He's in his early 40s. That's the American dream, is to buy a home and own a home.
Yeah.
And we have to make it affordable for young people as well as making sure we're protecting old people. That's of an utmost importance. So one of the things with property taxes is, when you look at the evaluation departments within each of the counties that actually go out and make property values, there's a whole administrative overhead that's involved with that. That could also go away when we get rid of assessing property values in that way. You don't need the guy driving by your house saying, "Oh, we think your house is worth 500 today." Like that person doesn't exist anymore in this new future where property taxes are removed. So that whole bureaucracy is probably worth, maybe $1 billion, maybe $500 million from that standpoint too.
What you're saying is you guys have a proposed plan that you'd like to try and enact.
Yes.
I know it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
When you first try to do it, there's going to be a lot of hoops to jump through, and you're going to have to make changes probably.
And a lot of pushback too.
But you're going to attempt to do something, and you've got a plan.
We do, and we have talked to a couple of the state representatives and kind of threw some ideas out there. We've talked to some people in Columbus, for example. I'll share an example. We talked about potentially getting rid of the Ohio Department of Education, because just like at the federal level, this is just an aggregated department, and they sit in Columbus, but they don't really do anything.
No.
And it creates a lot of administrative overhead too, in terms of hiring and firing of teachers. Like that all has to go through the Ohio State
Well, they
Department.
eat up all the funds and administration and everything.
There's too much
There's
overhead.
No money left to do what the job needs to be done.
So yeah, I think they created it probably during a time when they thought it would help streamline things, but it's only become like an administrative overhead.
I think it's more that people get in power and they hire their family and their friends and put them in positions in the government to get them a paycheck, and they just keep making more administration thing, and pretty soon the money's gone and say we need some more money.
Yeah. So for example, I spoke to one of the board members of the actual Ohio State Board of Education, and he literally told me, "Yeah, you can get rid of our department. We don't do anything. We don't need it." So I mean, coming from one of them who's sitting in a position. So now on the other hand, there's going to be a huge fight with the teachers unions, because they like to have that consolidation where they can control everything. So it's going to take a lot of political courage, and so therefore you need somebody who's willing to stand up against the grain, like a Casey, like myself, who have been standing up against the grain for a while.
I want to know something about you guys, how you feel about immigration in sanctuary cities.
Yeah, no, I mean,
what about that?
Kind of need to do away with those,
absolutely.
Sanctuary cities.
I'm not against immigration, just like they say people like Ed and I or whatever. oh, you just hate immigrants. I don't hate
No,
immigrants.
it's not it at all.
No, we just don't want to pay for them.
No.
Like, yeah, we don't want to pay for their Medicare and their Medicaid. We don't want to pay for their welfare, their housing, their iPhones, their travel. You know, this is not right. Like there's a point where there's an imbalance and they're leeching off of the system versus, you know, coming here with good intentions. Now, the other part is it's a federal situation where we've displaced a lot of countries and made other countries less stable by interfering in some of the things that they're doing abroad. And so, of course, we're almost creating the problem at the federal level, and then these people are trying to escape somewhere. So we do care about that, but we need to make sure that we are deporting the people who do not belong here and working with ICE
And
directly
vetting the
to
ones
make
that
sure.
We
Yeah.
have the Haitian population down here in Springfield that's
Yes.
so heavy.
Yes.
And I know you know that DeWine's tied into this.
I
He's
know.
directly tied in with
Yeah.
Haiti.
Yes.
And I know what they're doing down there.
Yeah.
And there's employment companies that are
Yeah.
employing these people. They're
Yeah.
shopping them out to these corporations at a lower rate. They're taking part of the Haitians' money.
Yeah.
And they're even delivering them in vans.
And they also own the rental properties that these
Right.
Haitians
And they
live
own,
in.
And they
so
get
they're
It's a total
so
fraudulent
they're taking all
scheme.
their money and they've got
Yeah.
slave labor down there in my mind.
Yes.
What they're doing to these immigrants, and we go, oh, you hate. Well, they're getting advantage taken of them.
They are, and it's just a fraudulent. It's
So
basically like a money laundering scheme.
Yeah, and he
For-
wants
for
to keep
certain
bringing
people.
them in here.
Yeah.
The more they bring in, the more money they make.
Right.
Well, their rent's all subsidized, and they get
I mean-
food assistance and all that money gets turned around and handed right back to the people that authorized it,
Yeah.
basically.
Right.
Of course, like you said, you got to deal with it federally too.
Right. So I have been wondering and wanting to know where is ICE and when are we going to get rid of the Haitians and the Somalians, and down in Cincinnati area we have Mauritanians. They're from Mauritania, a huge community there. So these are these little plotted communities all over where they just dropped these people in, and it's completely changed the dynamics.
And that's not really well. I guess you go back in the 20s and the 30s where a lot of the Irish came over in a big group, and the Scottish came over. They came over in big.
They're similar.
They kind of did the same thing, but they made their areas in the cities or whatever. And, you had little,
Yeah.
but they still simulated. They got jobs. They went to work.
Yeah. So we need to go back to that foundation where we require assimilation. And there are these stories. There was a story out of California where one of these families, there's this birth tourism thing happening too,
Right.
where they bring
Chinese
in,
mainly.
they bring in. It's more than Chinese. I think
Right.
it's multiple other countries
Right.
where they're bringing women in
They're
and
pregnant.
they're getting them pregnant and letting them give
Have their
birth
baby
to
here.
children, and then they're
Taking them
they're
back.
Like somebody
going
I know
right
that's
back.
running for governor.
Like somebody we know that's running for governor.
Yeah.
Um,
The
Back
Swami.
back to India, though. These people are literally bringing here, having babies that are considered American, and then they're going back and being schooled communist China, for example.
Yeah. But while they're here, they're taking our health care, and we're taxpayers are paying for it. So this has to come to a stop. But this is being abused, and we have to put our foot down.
And then you look 18 years later, they come back and they can join the military and go to school and have all the benefits of being an American citizen.
So I
when they're
really-
actually not.
It's an infiltration. It's
Exactly.
yeah.
I really want to get to the big
Elephant in the room.
elephant in the room, and that's these data centers.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a big topic. We could take like a whole hour on
Oh
data
yeah,
centers.
let's hit.
Um,
I mean, blue. Yes.
Yes. So data centers, from the word go, from the whole supply chain of how these data centers have been brought in
First of
until
all, are you guys all gung ho crazy? Want to make it? Does Casey want to make this the new Silicon Valley?
No, we do not. Ohioans, by and large, 90% of Ohioans do not want Silicon Valley here in Ohio. We do not want to California, Ohio. We want to protect Ohio and Ohioans. It's time to look inward and make sure that we have policies in place that are protecting Ohio. So we are very much against what's going on. We have seen that there are about 77 conversations of data centers all over the state of Ohio. If you've looked at the little data center map, they're dotted all over the place. And they actually are in line with where aquifers sit too. So go figure. So data centers, when they come in, they are utilizing typically formerly agricultural land. So the three that are within 30-mile radius of my house, Mount Oreb.
You have two there now.
Well, they're in discussions. That
Okay.
they all came out at like the same time in like October, November of last year. No one knew anything about it, and then all of a sudden we find out that these contracts are signed.
Who's behind this?
So I found out that Jobs Ohio is behind it. Jobs Ohio is a department that was started under the Kasich administration, and basically they received the franchise to sell all of the spirits throughout the state of Ohio. So it's like essentially it's a nonprofit organization, but they are using the profits that are coming from our spirit sales to basically fund this organization. And they go out and they actually sell Ohio as a great data center location. So they go to these big shows in Las Vegas, like the Consumer Electronics Show, for example. You know, it's the biggest show in the world. And they go there with marketing presentations and they meet with all kinds of companies, and they, you know, whether it's Meta or Google or Amazon or whomever they're meeting with, it's developers as well. And they say, Ohio is prime market for, you know, data centers. We have affordable land. We have all this water. We have all of this. And come on, come. Like, we will help you get set up here. And so that's kind of their marketing pitch. I'm simplifying it, of course, but that's basically what it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jobs Ohio is luring these companies in, and then we found out what happened is there's typically an attorney firm that is hired to like sit in between that company and the developer. Then there's an attorney firm, and then there's our like village councils or townships. This attorney firm is recommending to the village councils and township people to sign non-disclosure agreements. So any conversations that are had up here between, you know, these companies and the attorney, they're not telling the constituents that live in the town that these are coming. So there's all this negotiation going on in secret.
Negotiation, but are they buying these township people off or something? Because I see some of this stuff going on. It's like, and these people are acting completely, you know, weird.
They are acting weird. It's a valid question, and the only way to find out is to do records requests. So everybody in their own towns needs to do records requests to find out what is actually going on behind the scenes. And so a lot of these communities right now are doing these public records requests. Sometimes they're getting them back. Sometimes they're coming back redacted, believe it or not. And sometimes they're not coming back at all. So
sometimes I think it's a bait and switch too. They're claiming that they're going to bring all these jobs, and they do initially when they're building the place. There's all kinds of construction jobs, for electricians and plumbers and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But once the place is completed, you've taken 75 acres of land.
75, more like 700.
And you got 50,
almost 1,000 acres.
Right.
Sometimes these campuses are huge.
Right, and you got 150 people that's employed.
Oh, less than that. It's usually about 50 people.
Right.
Look, the ideal is for these data centers to have 0 employees.
Right.
Because they want to automate it all and they want robots running these
AI
places. Like that's legitimately what they want to do. So, so yeah, data centers, you know, when they come in, you have to envision a football field, and then envision 6 to 8 football fields in length. Like that's what we're talking about in terms of scope. And then to get them up energy-wise, they don't have energy already driven to these facilities. So they have to bring in giant diesel generators, like the size of Ford 150s, like line them up all the way down the football field, and they're spewing diesel 24/7 a day.
That's why I like a silly question. What is the actual use of a data center? I mean, what do they actually?
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten some discussions, and it was like, well, you want the internet and cell phone? I already have the internet and cell phone.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
I don't understand what the entire use. Why do we even need?
Well, I was reading.
Yeah.
I can understand it. Like Mark Zuckerberg wants a data center for Facebook, and Elon Musk needs a data center. So these individuals actually getting their own data centers. Is that what they're doing?
Basically, yes. So I mean, these are AI data centers. So they're hyperscale data centers. Obviously, data centers already exist. You know, almost every company that's out there has their own data center, and it's usually on site within their own buildings, right? So the problem is artificial intelligence uses so much power. So when they want to layer artificial intelligence on top of all these platforms, they need more power. So that means they need more server space, they need more chips, and then they need to keep it all cool. So that's the whole issue. Now, at the end of the day, this Bitcoin mining, that's a totally new kind of chip. So like your laptop, if you feel the back of it right now, it might feel a little bit warm. These Bitcoin chips are actually like an order of 10 times more hot than these normal chips. So it's really a lot of this is yes. So a lot of this is centered around cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So people need to understand that our dollars and coins are going away to Bitcoin when these data centers happen.
Right.
And the other thing, if you go to whitehouse.gov and you look at all the plans that have been put in place by President Trump's advisors, there are some very hefty ideas around expanding and accelerating artificial intelligence. One of them is implantable technologies. So when you take cryptocurrency and you combine it with implantable technology, that means you're going to be able to have a little chip in your skin and you're going to be able to go everywhere
Not
and
me.
buy. I know. So,
Not me.
so that's we're connecting the dots here for people, letting them know that this is the ultimate goal of why we need these data centers. The other thing is for drones. The other thing is for robots. So we already have a company in Pike County called Anduril. Okay, Anduril is also invested in by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel was also in the RICO racketeering lawsuit that Vivek Ramaswamy is named in. Peter Thiel is also the main investor that got J.D. Vance elected the first time to Senate. So when you start connecting the dots behind the scenes, you see how Ohio was kind of intended to be a test market for this whole thing.
Right.
But Anduril makes robots. They also do military. They have military contracts as well. And this is that new company that Howard Lutnick just came into Ohio and did this big expose and announced, we're so happy to be in Piketon. And they're bringing in nuclear energy on top of that old uranium site that used to be there in Pike County. And that's where Anduril is located. So what China is doing now is they're doing robot deliveries or drone deliveries with drones, dropping off your packages at your front door instead of having the delivery driver drop your Amazon package off. That's part of why they need data centers as well. And also because the battery life in these drones is shorter. So the drones have to stop and charge up at each of these facilities when their batteries start to die.
Well, they're going to use a tremendous amount of water.
Yes.
Drain off our water tables and stuff, our aquifers. They're going to use a tremendous amount of power. They're going to have to increase things, which are going to make the people pay for it to do that.
Yeah.
And what about these tax cuts for these billion-dollar customers, our corporations?
Yeah.
Where they don't tax them for. I mean, you guys. I'm against this. If you're
crazy.
building a billion-dollar business, why am I responsible to pay your tax?
Right. While our property taxes are going up, DeWine is giving 30-year tax abatements to these companies to come in and extract our resources from us.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Google facility uses 387,000 gallons of water per day. That's about the same amount of water as a small town. And that's a small one. So some of these data centers can use up to 5 million gallons of water per day, the largest ones. There are also lawsuits that are already happening, like out in Oregon, for example.
And they put PFAS in the water.
Yeah, they put forever chemicals in the water as well. And the EPA has relaxed the regulations. So they're saying you can go ahead and spew all of your water back into the nearest waterway as well. So when that water starts to drip down into our aquifers, and knowing that Ohio is one of the places in the United States that has really prime aquifers, even the aquifer in Trenton that I live by, it has a federal contract to supply water anytime there's like a supposed sort of emergency in the United States. They're supposed to supply bottled water to everybody in the United States, but yet they're wanting to put a data center over the top of this aquifer. It makes no sense whatsoever. So
And the guy you're running against, and by the way, they're running a Republican primary.
Yeah.
May 5th, which people don't know about.
Polls are open now.
you got to get out and vote. You got to get out and vote.
He wants to put these data centers everywhere on every aquifer we got in Ohio.
Well, he's invested in them, and his investors are invested in them. Yes, so he will make billions of dollars at the expense of Ohio, at the expense of Ohioans, while we continue to pay for taxes. It is absolutely insane that people are supporting this man. Like I can't.
I don't understand.
When you start
it
to
either.
understand, all of the things underneath, you cannot.
That's just
It makes no sense
The
unless
big-
they don't
those
go
other.
that far.
They're just confused.
The biggest thing I get from people when I talk to them about it is, well, Donald Trump says Vivek is the guy.
Yeah.
Because he endorsed him. I go, well, Trump don't live in Ohio.
No, he
He
doesn't.
don't know what's good for us.
Yeah, and he wanted. So Vivek had a big fight with Elon Musk apparently when they were doing Doge, and they wanted him out of there. Nobody in DC likes him because
Who's
he's
that?
hard. Vivek.
Okay.
Because he's hard to work with. So
Okay.
that's the scuttlebutt behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So everybody said Donald Trump like made a concession and said, I'll give you this, well, I'll endorse you, basically get out of here, let this program go. So that's what we heard. Again, it's kind of a rumor, but that is what we heard. So
Sounds real enough to me.
I mean, Donald Trump has made other bad endorsements.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Yeah, he's
let's
not 100.
be
He's
honest.
not 1,000%.
He's not bad.
I voted for Trump. I voted for him every time, okay? But I don't agree with everything he does.
Right. No,
I
and we
think
shouldn't.
sometimes
We
he
should.
does some boneheaded stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm still backing him. He's still the president.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
But he doesn't continually make me happy on everything he does.
No, like
so.
Lindsey Graham. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Lindsey Graham,
So-
I can't stand. So
Exactly.
Let's not even go
So,
there.
no,
Enough
that's
already.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes I almost think he endorses people to shine a light on them, and that's really what
Yeah.
this did for me. Like, because I think a lot of people were originally Vivek fans because he was parroting some things that sounded good. Like
Right.
when he first wrote his book Woke Inc., I read it and I was like, this is awesome. Like this is great.
Mhm.
Like I believe it. Like I totally am aligned with everything you're saying. But when their actions don't match their words, that's where you have the problem, and that's what you can see
Yeah.
consistently with Vivek.
I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. Vivek is the only guy I know that will tell me what I want to hear without telling me what I want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, what did he say? Oh, that's what I want to hear. No, I don't think it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I call it a silvery talking point. Is
He's
what
got
I,
a silver tongue.
yeah,
I'm always
that's
like,
what I
"What did
call
he
it.
say?"
Yeah.
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 Because I'm not really sure either.
So, and when you really start to pay attention,
He didn't say anything.
it's very offensive.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Sometimes
We happened to meet him at that
Bernie Marino.
Bernie Marino and
We-
Houston was there. Marino was there when they were trying to get Sherrod Brown out. And Vivek was there. We tried to talk to him a little bit. And he didn't want to give us a time of day or
He was kind of,
even talk to him a little bit. He just, oh yeah.
she
Yeah.
talks past you.
That's what happened the first time I met him as well.
What-
Yeah.
what? Yeah. He's
Mhm.
like, I thought, okay, I'll talk to this. No, you're not talking to him.
No. Yeah. Absolutely. And we hear that he just laughs at people behind closed doors. So, yeah. I mean, he doesn't care about Ohioans. It's pretty obvious. So,
I agree. I agree.
So, where are we
You're
going?
going to ask about this, aren't you?
What?
How about all the cancellations on Casey? And
I want what?
which kind of made us.
I know you're not Nazis, but how did that crap get started? Just because he's had a beer hall rally?
right. Well, you know what the definition of his last name
Yes,
is,
I
and
got
you
it.
know
I've
the
seen all that.
history
It's
on his
food.
last
Yeah,
name. So of course, like the leftists, they want to create a mountain out of a molehill, and
course.
that's what they do.
I love the fact that Casey just tries to shove it back in her face and make a little satire of it, and he just goes with it and whatever. And everybody goes, "Oh, that's just terrible." And I'm thinking, well, he's just getting a rise out of him because he can.
Yeah, he's really. I like to call him like he's just as good at trolling as Donald Trump is. Like,
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what he was doing. But
that's what I like to say. So yeah, he does, and you know, he's been on social media for a long time. He has a YouTube channel. That's how he makes his living. So he has to be an expert troll at social media, and that's exactly how Donald Trump won his election too, by trolling. And he said a lot of things that people didn't like, and Casey says a lot of things that people don't like. But
The Cowboys
how
and
old
Indians
is
thing
he?
made me laugh hard.
Oh.
I was laughing at that
That
too.
was
And people are
hilarious.
so offended, and I'm
Oh, I
like,
know.
cats and dogs versus cowboys and Indians. It's kind of the same
I
thing.
laughed
Like
at
you
that,
know,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
How old is Casey?
He's I think he's 44.
Okay, well, he's just the right age.
Yeah, yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 54. Yeah.
54.
Mhm.
I
He calls me big sister because I have to keep him
love all
in.
your posts
Yeah.
because you're sharp as a tack, and I'm used to a running mate being a doofus.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're no
True.
doofus.
No, definitely not.
I don't even know who the running mate is.
That's
you know?
true. They usually keep it secret.
So-
Well, I know, and Vivek's running mate Rob McCauley, you know, he passed a bill that actually is going to prevent us from being able to get public records.
He's
Right.
probably.
So
we
how
can't
about
even
that?
ask about
Yeah, what is up
Yeah.
with that? I just seen the public record thing. I seen you posted about that we're
Yeah.
not going to be able to get
Yeah.
public record.
Yeah, they basically said they started with this one bill, House Bill 184, and it passed the House. It was about high school students taking money for sports and whatnot. It had nothing to do with this. So it passed the House, and then it got through, and the Senate committees decided to throw in at the very end a little section on anything related to economic development is no longer considered a public record. So if it's no longer considered a public record, then you can't actually do a public record request on it. Meaning they're going to try to hide more of these data center deals.
How can you do that though legally?
I don't think you can. So if
I mean,
someone
'cause
has to
anything
challenge
government, as far as I'm concerned, is public record. If I want to know,
we are the people and we own the records.
well,
we own the
what these
records.
people
They don't.
forgotten is they think they're leaders. Okay, and you
Yeah.
can call yourself a leader. I don't call you a leader. You are a public servant.
That's right.
You work for the people. You do what the people want.
That's
you
right.
don't do what you want.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They have forgotten that. So I often carry my Constitution around with me, and I try to remind people all the time
We're
about
called
that.
representatives for a reason.
Yes,
They are,
representatives.
and they are they do not know their role.
Right.
So
Well,
we have
some
to
of them
keep
think they
reminding
are
them.
king,
Well,
like
that
the
comes
Vance
with being in
Committee.
there 30 or 40 years.
Yes.
That
Well,
may have been there too long.
it's funny, even some of the newer ones, they have more of an entitlist attitude that I've noticed. And so, yeah, I think it's both old and new. And I think it's something that we as constituents, we have unfortunately, we have not been as involved as we should have been for the past 20 to 30 years. We should have been attending every city council meeting, every village meeting, every
I was
county
guilty
meeting.
of that growing
I was
up.
guilty of it. We
Well,
all, yeah.
We always expect our representatives to have the best intentions. You know, we expect them to be looking out for the people that voted them into office. But, you know, basically we've all come to realize that,
I think we
and it's
thought
not
we could
happening.
just go on doing what we wanted to do and everything was okay. And that's government and they're doing their thing and we don't have to worry about it.
right.
Yeah. So, yep. So the problem is they will continue to do whatever they want to do unless we're there bringing the light, bringing the sunlight onto it. Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
I think people like you are bringing attention to it. And there's other people bringing attention to it. We're finally decided we needed to bring attention to stuff.
Yeah.
We're just tired of what's going on.
Yeah.
We're pulling for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
voting for you.
We're gonna Dr. John, Little Ed, and Dr. John can endorse you.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
and by the way,
And we voted for you.
we are at the
Thank
Town
you.
and Country Firehouse, but in no way does the Town and Country Fire Department endorse any of our views or
Our
comments
cosplay.
or any candidate, but they're kind enough, gracious enough to let us use this facility. I have to put that
Of course.
in
Yeah.
there for them.
And
Absolutely.
you know they don't endorse Little Ed and Dr. John.
Yeah, they ain't
Some of
endorsing
the-
us
some of
either.
our
So,
shows are a little off field, but, we appreciate you coming.
we really
Absolutely.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. I think we're gonna end this up. Is there
Okay.
anything else
I
you
never
wanna
even got
say?
an
You
email
got
back.
anything you want to say before we would close?
Perfect. Well, no, I mean, really, our platform is about protecting Ohio jobs for Ohio workers. We're tired of seeing the offshoring and the use of H-1B visas. So we want to make sure that we are giving incentives to Ohio companies
Let's
to
wait a
employ
minute.
Ohioans. Yep.
Tell everybody what a HBB1 visa is so
Oh,
they understand.
Yeah, so
if you don't
basically,
mind.
yeah, what that is it's companies bring in foreigners, and 70% of them are actually from India, but they bring in foreigners and they give them a visa that allows them to work here in the United States. And when they employ them, for an example, a typical IT job might pay about $100,000 a year salary. They can bring an H-1B visa employee over from India and pay them about $60,000 to $70,000. So they get to save about $30,000, and the company profits the money. They don't actually give it back to the state or anything like that. And then also what happens is when they bring in these workers from abroad, they end up sending about half of their salaries back to their hometowns, wherever they're from. So that is economic loss for the state of Ohio in terms of both salary, wages for Ohioans, as well as spending that happens in Ohio. So another thing that happens is it actually pushes salaries down, it pushes wages down. So, when Vivek talks about bigger paychecks, we know he wants to partner more with India. We know he approves
already
of the
said that.
H-1B program. I don't know how he's going to deliver higher paychecks if he's going to bring in more foreigners to take Ohioans' jobs. So yeah, so we're about making sure we're protecting our jobs here in Ohio. And often when people ask him about that question, he says, "Oh, that's a federal thing. I can't do anything about that." That's not true. In the state of Ohio, we can actually incentivize Ohio companies to hire Ohioans first, and we can disincentivize companies who do not.
Right.
So we have that power in Ohio to be able to control that. So that's number one for us. Number two is making sure Ohio's resources stay in Ohio. This is all around farming and manufacturing and data centers. So having a manufacturing renaissance here with real manufacturing companies that give people gainful work, not companies that robots are going to come over and take our jobs with, and making sure that these data centers don't extract our water and our energy, causing people to pay a lot more out of pocket. So keeping our resources here and helping farmers keep their land. So this is an issue that we've seen across the board too. Farmers are getting the pinch, small businesses are getting the pinch at the expense of big corporatocracy. So great, we're happy for big corporations, but we want to make sure we're protecting small business owners and farmers who own properties and land here in Ohio, and preventing this foreign interference. And then really the last thing is owning your own home and not having to rent it back from the government. So those are really our three platform points that really differentiate us from our opponent. And we really need everybody to get out and vote for us, because as we talked about in the beginning, a lot of the Republican parties, because they did these endorsements, they are trying to force everyone in the Republican Party to vote for him, because they come out with their slate cards and they're passing these cards out, and they're basically trying to force the hand to get him elected, which is actually pretty disgusting. So we need everybody who's not part of the party, and even people who are part of the party who are very upset that this has happened, to get out and vote for us, because we really care about Ohio and we want to make sure we protect Ohioans. So the polls are already open now. It's
Yep.
early voting. And then, of course, Election Day is on May 5th. So we literally need everybody to get out there and vote on May 5th or before May 5th and show your support. I know this is a primary again, so some people have said, don't split the vote. Well, that's not true. We're not splitting any
That's
vote,
absolutely
because
not true.
you're going to the poll on May 5th and you get to choose between Casey or the other guy. And whoever wins that, hopefully Casey will win, and then Casey will advance and go against Amy Acton in the fall. And I believe Casey has a much better chance at beating Amy Acton in the fall.
Casey gonna wax Amy Acton.
Yeah, he
I
is.
think Vivek and Amy Acton are two peas in a pod.
They are. They really are. So, and that's exactly why. Both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party did these early endorsements. They forced these people in place because they know that Amy and Vivek are going to do what they're told to do, and that is the corporate technocracy, which we do not want here in Ohio. So Casey is the only opportunity to save Ohio from this insanity. So make sure you get out there and vote for Casey.
Bring your friends.
We need your
Grandma,
votes. Yes, we need all your friends, your family members,
Well,
everybody.
it's a smaller election because it's not presidential, so many people don't show up. So the littlest amount of people that show up can make a great, big, huge difference.
Make a huge
Your
difference.
vote counts even. It's like triple time what a normal vote counts.
That's
Primaries
right
are
now.
historically low turnout.
Yeah.
Well, midterms as well.
And I hope you guys reiterate what she said. This is not going to put Amy Acton in office if you vote for Casey. We're deciding between the Republican Party. If you're Republican and you're voting in that primary between Vivek and Casey,
Yeah.
Amy Acton has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And what people aren't talking about is the fact that we know that there are a lot of people who have already said, not by our choice, but people who have said, if Vivek wins, I'm sitting out. I am not voting in the fall. This is a consistent theme across Ohio that we are hearing as we're traveling around Ohio. So just take that into account. He can't beat Amy Acton unless he can get the vote out. And he can't get the vote out because people are not excited about him. People are soft on him. People see through his games and his lies. So he can't get the vote out to beat Amy Acton. Really, only Casey can beat Acton in the fall. So let's get focused around that message and make sure everybody understands that.
I believe that every attack at Casey's made him stronger. In my opinion, he's gained more popularity, and anytime anybody tunes into him, then he's got more voters that are going to vote for him.
Honestly, the biggest problem is name recognition. There are still some people who haven't heard of him yet. So that's where we need everybody to get out and spread the word, telling all your friends, all your family members, your children, cousins,
This
and
is one of
uncles,
the
everything.
first times I've seen any kind of election coming up where if I watch the news, there's not been one word that there's an election coming up.
Oh, they've been instructed to not talk about it.
They're not talking about it at all.
Yeah, they've been
It's like it's a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody know that they're voting because we want our guy in there. If we tell people there's a vote, they'll look to see who to vote for.
Yeah. When President Trump said fake news, we have fake news in Ohio right now, people. Like our news media is being controlled. They will not cover Casey.
That's why we have podcasts like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can get the word out ourselves and make sure that everybody's aware that.
Anything else?
No, just vote, vote, vote. And thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure being here today with all of you and all of your 17 viewers.
Yeah. No, we got more than that. Trust me.
I'm just kidding.
We want to really thank Kim for coming. And
Mike, we want to thank Mike for doing the video.
thanks, Mike, and thanks to two cameramen. Made this all possible. Our video will be on, should be on tomorrow, right? Gotta have it on before election.
YouTube and Rumble. We still going on Rumble?
I'll get it on Rumble too.
All right.
All right. So I'm little Ed.
And I'm Dr. John.
Or wait a minute.
Oh, that's wrong. Yeah, I'm Little Ed.
I'm Dr. John. This was Kim, Georgetown.
Make sure you vote for her and Casey.
She's
Get out there
sharp
and
as a tack.
get your brothers, sisters, everybody. out
Thanks
to
for
vote.
watching, people. Hope you learned something.
And Dr. John with the podcast flow. We telling it right, we getting it all out, you know. One brings the knowledge, the other keeps it straight. The change in the game, setting a brand new reign. Spin facts. Dropping knowledge bombs on the mic while Dr. John keeps it straight and making sure it's tight. Together they're a force, a podcast duo so fly, bringing truth and wisdom, reaching for the sky. And then Dr. John, enough already, let it out on the airwaves, bringing what it's all about. They're spreading wisdom, knowledge, and love on their funky podcast, rising high above. And then Dr. John, enough already, let it out on the airways, bringing what it's all about. They're spreading wisdom, knowledge, and love on their funky podcast.